Hey guys, today's story is spine-chilling. If you're afraid of deserted roads at night, you might want to listen to this with the lights on. Get ready, because today's tale is about a truck driver who experienced something bizarre on the road. Sit back, relax, and join me on this journey. It all started on a cold winter night. João, an experienced truck driver, was driving down BR 116, one of those roads that seem to go on forever. He was returning from a long trip and couldn't wait to get home. The road was deserted, and the only company he had was the sound of the truck engine and the low music from the radio. It was almost midnight when João passed by a nearly abandoned village. He knew there was a gas station nearby, so he decided to stop to refuel and stretch his legs. When he arrived, the place was deserted. Only an old gas station attendant with a tired expression was there. João got out of the truck, and the attendant, without saying a word, started filling the tank. While he waited, João noticed an old, rusty sign next to the pump. It read, "Beware of the Road of Souls." He found it strange but didn't pay much attention. When the tank was full, the attendant just looked at him and said, "Avoid the Road of Souls, sir. Nothing good happens there." João gave a nervous laugh, thanked the man, and returned to the truck. He didn't believe in superstitions, so he decided to continue his journey. The night was as dark as pitch, and a thick fog began to cover the road. Not long after, João saw a sign, "Detour Road of Souls." He hesitated for a moment, remembering the attendant's warning, but he was tired and just wanted to get home. He took the detour. The road was narrow, surrounded by tall trees that looked like giant shadows in the dark. The fog grew thicker, and João had to slow down. Suddenly, the truck's headlights illuminated something in the middle of the road. It was a pale figure, a woman in a white dress, standing in the middle of the lane. João slammed on the brakes, and the truck stopped just a few meters from her. His heart was beating so fast that he could hear it in his chest. The woman slowly raised her head, and her eyes were empty, as if there was no life in them. She reached out her hand toward João, and he felt a chill run down his spine. Without thinking twice, he shifted the truck into reverse and started backing up, trying to get out of there as fast as he could. As he maneuvered, he heard a faint whisper, almost like a lament. "Help me." Looking in the rearview mirror, he saw the woman approaching, floating, as if she didn't touch the ground. Panic took over, and João accelerated as fast as he could, finally getting back on the main road. When he got home, still in shock, he told his wife the story, and she suggested he rest. But João couldn't sleep. The image of that woman haunted him, and the whispers seemed to echo in his mind. Days later, he decided to investigate the Road of Souls. He discovered that many truck drivers had disappeared in that area, and all who returned spoke of a woman in white. Some said she was the spirit of a bride who died in a car accident, while others said she was a lost soul seeking help. João didn't know for sure what he had encountered that night, but one thing was certain. He would never take a detour without thinking twice. And who knows, maybe one day he would uncover the truth behind that cursed road. Days passed, but the experience on the Road of Souls continued to haunt João. He could barely focus on his work and spent hours researching that road. The stories he found were always filled with mystery and tragedy. Missing people, inexplicable accidents, sightings of a woman in white. All of this started to weigh heavily on João's mind. One night, while sitting in front of his computer, João received an anonymous message. The message said, "If you want answers about the Road of Souls, go to the village of São Vicente and ask for Dona Lucia. She knows more than anyone." João was intrigued. Who could have sent that message? He hesitated for a moment, but his curiosity was stronger. He decided he would go to São Vicente the next day. The following morning, João drove toward the village. The path seemed even darker now that he knew what he might find. Upon arriving in São Vicente, he asked for Dona Lucia and was directed to a small house at the end of the main street. An elderly woman with a deep and wise gaze welcomed him at the door. "You must be João," she said, as if she had known he would come. "I've been waiting for you." João told her about his experience on the Road of Souls, and Dona Lucia listened attentively without interrupting. When he finished, she sighed and began telling an old legend. Many years ago, a young woman named Clara lived here. She was engaged and about to marry, but her fiancé tragically died in an accident on the Road of Souls. Desperate, Clara dressed in her wedding gown and went to the accident site, where she too met her end. Since then, her spirit wanders the road, searching for help, but also taking those who cannot resist her call. João felt a chill run down his spine. The story made sense, but it still left many questions. Why does she appear to some and not others? He asked. Dona Lucia looked at him seriously. Those who have a connection to Clara's tragedy are most likely to see her. Perhaps you have something in your past that attracted her. João became thoughtful. He couldn't remember anything that could connect him to Clara. Dona Lucia suggested he talk to an old villager named Pedro, who had been a friend of Clara's fiancé. João found Pedro at a local bar. The elderly man, speaking in a slow, calm voice, confirmed Dona Lucia's story and added a disturbing detail. Many believe that Clara doesn't just seek help, but also seeks revenge. Those who pass through the Road of Souls may be chosen to suffer the same fate as her fiancé. The idea of revenge made João even more uneasy. He thanked Pedro and went back home, but that night was long and filled with nightmares. Clara appeared in his dreams, always saying the same thing. "Help me." Days later, João received another anonymous message. The only way to release Clara is to find the exact location of the accident and perform a resting ritual. You need courage and determination. Go before it's too late. Determined to face his fears and solve the mystery, João began preparing for the final trip to the Road of Souls. He researched resting rituals and bought the necessary items. That night, he could barely sleep, knowing he was about to face the unknown once again. The next day, João set off with a heavy heart but a determined spirit. When he reached the detour, he stopped the truck and began walking, following the instructions from the message. The fog was thick, and the silence terrifying. Upon reaching the accident site, João set up the ritual and began reciting the words he had learned. As he did so, he felt a cold presence beside him. It was Clara, staring at him with those empty eyes. "Help me," she whispered once again. João continued the ritual, feeling a mix of fear and compassion. Suddenly, a soft light surrounded Clara, and she began to disappear, leaving behind only a faint scent of flowers. But before she vanished completely, Clara murmured, "Thank you, but I am not alone. Others need you." And so João found himself facing a new dilemma. Would he have to confront more lost spirits? The road seemed longer than ever, and he knew his journey was far from over. The Road of Souls still held many secrets, and João was determined to unravel them, one by one. As Clara disappeared in the soft light, João felt a temporary relief, but her final words echoed in his mind. "Others need you." The meaning of that message was unclear, but João knew he couldn't ignore it. The Road of Souls still hid mysteries, and perhaps other lost souls, like Clara. João returned to the truck and prepared to leave the haunted place. As he drove down the empty road, his thoughts were in turmoil. He wondered how many other people might be trapped there, between life and death, waiting for someone who could free them. It was a terrifying responsibility, but he felt that, somehow, he was destined to help. Back in the village, João decided to speak with Dona Lucia and Pedro again. They seemed to know more than they were willing to reveal. When he arrived at Dona Lucia's house, he was greeted with a look of surprise and concern. "I knew you would come back," she said. "What did you find?" João told her about the ritual, the liberation of Clara, and the cryptic message she left. Dona Lucia nodded slowly. "The Road of Souls is a place of great suffering. Many spirits get trapped there, unable to move on. Clara was just the beginning. If you're willing to help, you'll have to face more challenges." Pedro, who was present, added, "There are legends that the road was built on top of an ancient indigenous cemetery. The ancestral spirits might be restless, and that draws other disturbed souls. If it's true, you'll have to appease those spirits to restore peace." With this new information, João knew his journey was far from over. The Road of Souls was a place of darkness and ancient secrets, and there was much work to be done. Determined to uncover the truth and help those trapped, he prepared for the next phase of his mission. As João left the village, he took one last look behind him. He knew the road ahead would be dangerous and full of challenges, but he also knew he couldn't turn back. His journey on the Road of Souls was just beginning, and he was ready to face whatever lay ahead. Thank you for watching another Dark Tales video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any scary stories. See you next time, and beware of the dark.